What's up everyone? Welcome back to Jen's channel. Today, I'm bringing you something a little more me, but honestly, it's just pure style. Let's start things off with this clip of me taking down Xesht. You can really get a feel for the damage and the rotation here. Yes, that's right, it's just me holding down Flame Breath and absolutely going down. No rem, no flop, it's just raw fire. But here's the twist you probably already guessed. The real damage source isn't the fire itself, it's Thorns. I feel like I've fully theory crafted the limits of Thorns this week. I've experimented with other ascendancies, but in the end, the Ritualist is just the superior choice for this setup. You could technically run it on a martial artist for a higher damage ceiling, but getting your crit rate up with the gloves while maintaining survivability. Unless you're dropping thousands of divines, you're just not going to have a good time. On the other hand, the Ritualist is a beast. You can get this build rolling with just one divine, and it'll be fully endgame ready by 10 divines. So, today I'm showing you my Dragon Flame-Thorn Ritualist. Let's dive in. This build doesn't rely on any overly complicated setups. If you caught my previous video, you know the core of this Ritualist Thorns build revolves around those 3 prized pain rings. I won't bore you with the details again. Go check that video out if you missed it. The real star of the show is Flame Breath, the talisman dragon form skill with that insane built-in attack speed. We're leveraging that speed to proc our Thorns damage at a ridiculous rate. With 800% base attack speed from the skill itself, plus some extra scaling, we're hitting around 20 Thorns procs per second. Now, since the skill has a 10-second cooldown, we're using Atziri's Impatience to cut that cooldown down to 5 seconds. And since Flame Breath happens to last exactly 5 seconds, it becomes a perfect loop. You can just keep breathing fire non-stop without ever needing to worry about rage management. I need to give you all a heads up and a disclaimer. Flame Breath itself does not actually have the melee tag. However, the effect from Prized Pain specifically requires a melee attack to proc Thorns. I'm not entirely sure if this is an unintended bug that will be patched, so please keep that in mind. We first saw this interaction with Voltaic Barrier, and I later discovered that the new Tornado skill from Archon of Chayula works the same way. The pattern seems to be this. If the skill is an attack, not a spell, and it's not a projectile, the game treats it as melee for the purpose of triggering Thorns. Since this interaction is a bit of a gray area, there's always a chance it could be fixed in a future update. Since we're running a physical Thorns setup, the issue with Armour is still our biggest hurdle. However, since talismans lack mods to apply physical damage to armor reduction, we've had to get creative. Our solution? Mark of Death. By using it, we force the target to lose armor whenever they take physical damage from us. By pairing Pounce with Mark of Death, we can instantly strip away the target's armor, which reliably procs Scavenge Plating. Here's a pro tip for your setup. Use the AP skill set system. Put your offensive-related passives on Flame Breath, and keep your duration-related passives on Pounce. This way, you don't have to constantly refresh your Scavenge Plating buff. It stays active consistently, letting you focus on the damage. Now, let's talk about survivability. The defensive layer is largely the same as in my previous video. We're stacking massive amounts of armor and relying on armor applies to elemental damage to stay alive. We're also running Veil of the Night, which lets us completely ignore the headache of capping resistances. There's one new addition, though, Rage. Even though we don't need Rage to sustain Flame Breath, keeping the dragon form up longer is always better. To manage this, I've slotted a few Rage when hit nodes into the Pounce passive tree. This way, whenever I pounce onto an enemy, I generate Rage just by taking hits. On top of that, I'm linking Pounce with Holy Descent to boost health regeneration and provide resistance against curses. Combined with a Ritualist class passive, where you recover more health as your life gets lower, it perfectly offsets the 25% life cost whenever you cast Flame Breath. Lastly, to prevent getting frozen or stunned, since getting interrupted mid-breath is a nightmare, the best fix is simply taking unwavering stance and socketing a steadfast jewel. This makes the channel virtually uninterruptible, so you can just keep breathing fire without being knocked out of the air. Let's break down the gems and passives. For Blood Boil, I'm mostly just grabbing that 15% increased damage. The support gems don't matter as much here, so I'm just using it as a vessel for some extra spirit support gems. For our main skill, Flame Breath, we're running rapid attack speed to boost the proc rate, mobility to stay mobile while casting, increased area for clear, and steadfast to keep us from getting stunned mid-channel. As mentioned, Adziri's Impatience is our key for that 5-second cooldown cycle. Moving on to Pounce, we've linked it with Mark of Death to shred armor, generate rage, and proc Consecrated Ground. Since the core gear setup is identical to my previous build, I won't bore you with those details. Let's focus on the new weapon. Here's how to craft it. Base. Find a weapon with a high block base. Rolls or buy. Prioritize critical damage, attack speed, and life on hit. Prefixes. Fill up the prefixes with filler mods, then convert one into extra physical damage. The craft. Use an omen to lock Aminamu. With prefixes only, locked, hit it with Desecration until you land that companion damage mod. Since Pounce summons a wolf, this gives us a massive damage boost. Bonus. Anoint Inspiring Ally for an extra 50% damage. And that's it. The passive tree is also very similar to my previous setup, so I'll leave the full build link in the description for you to check out. Alright, that's going to wrap it up for today's video. I really had a blast theory crafting this setup. There's just something satisfying about breathing fire and watching everything just explode from Thorns damage. I've linked the full build details in the description below, so feel free to check that out. If you enjoyed this dive into the mechanics, make sure to hit that sub button so you don't miss the next one. As always, thanks for the support, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.